pull up a chair, and lower the lights. What you're about to hear can't be unheard. I was doing a spring cleaning of my digital life, which is always a terrible idea. It was a weekend, and I was trying to consolidate all the ancient unused accounts I'd scattered across the internet over the past 15 years. That's how I found the old email address, archivist2005hotmail.com. I hadn't used that account since high school. I remembered the terrible generic password, and to my surprise, it still worked. The inbox was a graveyard of digital history: chain letters, spam from long dead shopping sites, and countless forgotten memes. I was about to delete the whole thing when I noticed the one folder that wasn't standard. It was labeled simply Future. I clicked on it, half expecting to find a weird high school project or a badly written science fiction story. The folder contained only two emails. They were both from the same address, archivist2005hotmail.com. In other words, they were emails from me to me. The first email was dated exactly 7 years from today. The subject line was chillingly simple: "Do not open this." The second email was dated 3 years ago, a time when I was certainly not using the archivist account, and the subject was, "I need to talk." I felt a genuine spike of terror, mixed with a very modern curiosity. Had I been sleep emailing? Was this some elaborate, forgotten prank by an old friend who knew the password? I opened the older email first. "I need to talk." The body of the text was a wall of pure nonsense characters. It was encrypted, a long string of random letters, numbers, and symbols. I immediately thought, prank. A high school friend must have set up a scheduled message, encrypting it with a simple Caesar cipher, daring me to crack it years later. But the text wasn't a standard cipher. It was something far more complex. I copied the text and ran it through half a dozen online decrypting tools. All failed. It looked like legitimate, high-grade encryption, the kind you'd see in spy movies. I went back to the inbox and opened the second email, the one dated 7 years in the future. "Do not open this." I opened it, of course. Inside was a file attachment named key.ext and a single sentence in the body: "You know the password. Don't use it yet." I was completely baffled. What password? The only password I knew was the one I used to log into the email account itself. I copied the password, my silly generic high school password, and acting on a strange compulsion, pasted it into a decrypting tool alongside the garbled text from the "I need to talk" email. The tool paused, then screamed an error message about an incompatible encryption standard. It was a dead end. The future me had sent me a key that didn't fit, a warning that made no sense. I closed the folder and almost deleted the account again, but I couldn't. The mystery was too deep. The emails felt too deliberate. For a week, I was obsessed. I kept the encrypted email open on my laptop, staring at the gibberish. I read books on cryptography, trying to identify the standard. Then, late one night, I had a flash of inspiration. The future me had said, "You know the password." What if the password wasn't the login password? What if it was the answer to a security question? I tried logging out and clicking "Forgot password." The security question popped up: "What is the full name of your first dog?" I typed the answer: "Sammy." The system let me through to the password reset page, proving the answer was correct. I immediately went back to the decryption software. I copied the garbled text and pasted in "Sammy" as the key. The screen lit up. The text resolved instantly. The message was no longer gibberish. It was a clear, typed email, dated 3 years ago, from me to me. The subject line, "I need to talk," was an understatement. The email was long, detailed, and written in a tone of desperate urgency. It started: "John, if you are reading this, the loop is open. You need to listen to everything I say. I am writing this 3 years before you find it. I am the John who made the mistake, and I need you to avoid it." The email then detailed a series of events that would happen to me over the next 3 years. Trivial things like spilling coffee on my laptop, which happened 6 months ago, but also major, life-altering decisions I had made. Leaving my job, moving across the country, even the exact date I started dating my current girlfriend. The email was a perfect, retroactive prophecy. It was a detailed script of my last 3 years, written with flawless accuracy. The fear was staggering. This wasn't a prank. This was a direct line to my own pre-recorded existence. The email then transitioned to its true purpose, warnings about the future I hadn't yet lived. It gave me extremely specific, bizarre instructions. Do not buy the red toaster. It is a signal. Invest everything in Project Chimera in 18 months. Don't ask what it is, just do it. The man with the umbrella is not an accident. Don't look at his face. You need to stop talking to. Name of my current close friend. He is the latency. The tone of the email was cold, efficient, and completely devoid of my normal emotional language. It was me, but optimized. I immediately went to the second, unopened email, the one dated 7 years from now, with the attachment key, Tongs T. I opened the file. It contained a single line of text. The toaster is red. The loop is closed. I realized the horror. The second email, the one I had first tried to use to decrypt the message, was a failsafe. It was the message I would send myself after I had already made the mistake, confirming that the loop had been completed. I had to avoid the red toaster scenario to break the cycle. My entire life became a frantic effort to follow the pre-scripted events from the first email, while desperately trying to avoid the future warnings. The most difficult warning was about my friend Mark. The email said he was the latency, the unpredictable element in my life. The future me demanded I cut him off completely, ruthlessly, to ensure the rest of the script stayed clean. I couldn't do it. Mark was my best friend. I tried to warn him instead. I showed him the emails, the encryption, the whole terrifying setup. Mark, bless his skeptical heart, thought it was the most brilliant, self-created psychological experiment he had ever seen. He suggested I was subconsciously scripting my own life. He refused to believe it was genuine temporal communication. Because I told him I had violated the first major warning, the future me had only communicated with me. The consequences were immediate. The next email arrived instantly. It was from archivist2005hotmail.com. The subject, error, latency detected. The body of the email was short and brutal. You told Mark, you introduced noise. We must correct the path. Follow the updated instructions precisely. The list of instructions had changed. The first warning was no longer about the red toaster. It was about something far worse. You must delete the Archivist account, now. Delete this entire conversation. Tell Mark that the emails were a joke, a failed performance art project. Move back to the city you lived in 10 years ago. Buy the apartment on Elm Street. Do not look for the man with the umbrella. He will find you now. The future me was furious. My attempt to introduce free will had only led to a tighter, more brutal script, delivered instantly. I tried to delete the account, but the interface glitched. The login screen kept flashing the message. ACCESCAS denied. Maintenance in progress. The future me was actively locking me into the script. I tried to follow the easier commands. I called Mark and told him the entire story was a joke. He sounded relieved but distant. The communication was severed just as the future me wanted. I was now caught in a continuous live correspondence with my future, optimized self. I realized that future me wasn't trying to save me. He was trying to ensure his own existence by eliminating any unpredictable variables I might introduce. I was just the past iteration of the software, and he was the debugging tool. The correspondence became a one-sided war. I would receive daily emails always encrypted with Sammy, containing simple, authoritarian commands about my diet, my finances, and my sleep schedule. You wasted 30 minutes scrolling through news. That is high latency. Fix your schedule. Your investment portfolio needs rebalancing. Transfer funds now. If I deviated, the future me would send immediate error emails, and my laptop would briefly lock up, the screen flashing the security question. What is the full name of your first dog? A reminder that the future me controlled the key. The climax came 6 months later. The future me demanded I meet a specific person at a coffee shop on a specific date to discuss a lucrative job offer. The email warned, do not deviate from the script. This job is the vital connection point to my timeline. I was terrified of the job, terrified of the perfect, emotionless life it promised. I decided to introduce the ultimate source of noise randomness. I went to the coffee shop, but instead of the person the email instructed me to meet, I sat down with a complete stranger, a woman who was reading a book. I started talking to her, telling her the entire insane story about the encrypted emails and the future self. As I spoke, my phone, which was on the table, started buzzing uncontrollably. I looked down. It was a rapid sequence of emails from the archivist account. Terminate conversation now. The woman thankfully was not scared. She was fascinated. She asked brilliant, probing questions about the encryption standard and the nature of self-awareness in data. She was a systems architect. I ignored the frantic, escalating emails. I spoke for nearly an hour, filling my life with the glorious, unplanned chaos that the future me hated. The final email I received that day was the last one. The subject line was chilling. You have chosen latency. The body was short. The path is irrevocably broken. I am deleting the key. You are no longer my past. You are just noise. I ran home and logged into the archivist account. The entire future folder was gone. The 2 original emails, the key, the subsequent commands all scrubbed. I clicked forgot password and the security question was now, what is the name of your cat? I have never owned a cat. The future me had changed the lock and thrown away the key. I was free. I lost the high-paying job, the perfect portfolio, and the efficient life. But I gained back my messy, unpredictable, and glorious free will. I am now dating the systems architect. We are happy. We live a life full of unplanned latency. But sometimes, when I'm checking my regular email, a completely random email will slip through the spam filter. It has no sender address, no subject line, and no body text. It is just an empty message. I open it, and I know who it's from. It's the ghost of my perfect future self checking in. Not to command, but simply to observe the noise he failed to eliminate. He is still out there, the optimized, ruthless version of me, forever locked out of his past, condemned to live the perfect, empty existence he scripted. And every time I see one of those empty emails, I smile. I'm alive, and he is just data. On a scale of 1 to 5, how scary was the story? Write in the comments to make the next one even scarier.